Okay, we're continuing our discussion on validation options in the dialog component, and we've discussed now the fact that certain types of validations can be performed on the client side just using JavaScript without having to make an Ajax callback, whereas other types of validation need to be done on the server, and so an Ajax callback is required. We've also discussed the difference we've discussed immediate validation, which takes place as soon as the user tabs out of the field, and how immediate validation can be done only client-side, which would be just any validation that can be evaluated using JavaScript, and obviously there's no real cost to that because the JavaScript can execute practically instantaneously, whereas server-side validation would require an Ajax callback when the user tabs out of the field. So next, what I'd like to discuss is submit if client-side errors. So what this option allows you to do is prevent the dialog from being submitted if a client-side validation error has already been detected, because you might decide that there's no point in incurring the cost of an Ajax callback if you already know that the dialog has some errors. You don't know necessarily all of the errors because you haven't done an Ajax callback to do the server-side validation, but you do know that there are some errors. So there's a property in the dialog over here. You can see that we have a property under validation and error reporting that says submit dialog if client side validation errors. So what this is saying is that if you've already determined that there's a client-side validation error, do you want to prevent or not prevent the dialog from being submitted? So currently we have that set to true. So even if a client-side validation error has been detected, we're still going to validate. We're still going to submit the dialog. So I'm going to go there and type in a value, tab out. You can see now that we've got an error indicating that the zip code is not valid, and this was evaluated on the client side. So now we already know that this dialog has an error, but now I'm going to go there and type XX and hit the submit button, and when I hit the submit button, you can see that the dialog did get submitted, and now we get all of the server-side errors being reported back to us. So there's the error that says not a valid state. Now this error has gone away because there was no server-side error that checked the length of the field. This was only done client-side, and so the error got overwritten. But if we wanted, we could also have defined a server-side rule that said the length must be 5 characters. So now let's go back now and turn this property off and see the difference in behavior. So again, I go there and I type in a zip code that's invalid. So our client-side validation rule fires. Then I type XX and I hit the submit button. And again, you can see that nothing happened because the dialog didn't even get submitted to the browser, to the server at all. And we can see that more clearly if we examine this in say Firefox. So I'm going to go there and type in a value, tab out, and then hit the submit button, and you can see here that nothing happened. There was no submission to the server. Okay, so let's go back to our agenda now. So the next item that I'd like to discuss is the dialog validation, the option to display the error messages in a pop-up window. So in some cases the dialog may be very large, have a large number of fields, and the submit button would be towards the bottom, whereas the global error messages appear here towards the top. So you might want to make it really obvious to the user when an error has occurred by displaying global validation error messages in a pop-up window. So let's show how that can be done. So I'm going to go here to this property which says show in a pop-up window, then go back over there and type in alpha and then hit the submit button, and you can see now that my validation error message is displayed in a pop-up window, so that there's no chance of the user missing the error at the top of the screen when their focus is towards the bottom of the screen. So let's pause now and pick this up in the next video.